I know what you're going through. You've cut out gluten, dairy, processed foods, and despite doing everything right, you still end the day feeling 6 months pregnant. Trust me, I've been there. That uncomfortable, distended belly feeling just doesn't go away despite how clean you're eating. I'm Sam, founder of Rise and Thrive Wellness, and in my 8 years of experience, I have helped hundreds of high-performing women overcome bloating, digestive issues, and debunk the gut health myths that keep women stuck. In this video, I'm going to discuss 4 of the most common myths I commonly see that might be preventing you from finding relief, even if you're eating super clean. And by the end, you'll understand why traditional approaches, if you go to your doctor or a GI specialist, typically fail and what to do instead. So let's get started. Myth number 1 is that you just need to find your food sensitivity or your food trigger, right? And this makes sense that this is the logical path that most people take because you eat a food and then you feel crappy and your first response is, okay, well, that food made me not feel very good, so I need to eliminate it, right? And then that will eliminate the problem. However, the problem with that is that that is just removing the symptom, right? It's not removing the root cause. And more often than not, when we have a food sensitivity or we have a reaction to a certain food, it is because there is an underlying problem that is causing that reaction. So while maybe the food isn't the best food to be eating, especially if it is a food sensitivity to something that is already inflammatory, like refined sugars or a processed food, or maybe it's dairy or maybe it's gluten, unless you have an actual allergy to that food, you shouldn't be having such a drastic response by eating it in moderation. Usually there's something going on deeper under the hood that is causing that inflammatory response. But unfortunately, this often is not communicated, and this leads to people doing endless elimination diets and restrictive eating patterns and feeling like they can't eat anything in their life opposed to healing the root problem. So one of my clients, Emma, came to me and she had eliminated over 20 foods from her diet because she took a food sensitivity test, and those were the foods that a practitioner told her to remove. And the problem with a food sensitivity test is that it tests for IgG in your bloodstream. And often when people eat a food commonly, there is going to be a higher amount of IgG for that food in their bloodstream. And then it's going to show up on a food sensitivity test. So often the results that you get from a food sensitivity test are not even the foods that you're actually sensitive to. It's just foods that you eat commonly in your diet. So this is where it can get really confusing for people. But when Emma came to me, she was basically eating chicken, rice, and zucchini every single day because those were 3 of her approved foods, but she was still bloating nonstop. But once we did some digging into her digestive health, we found out that her stress was high, which led to her having low stomach acid and low digestive enzyme production, which then led to the slowing of motility, her not being able to go to the bathroom regularly, which led to constipation, which then led to backlog and bloating. So once we were able to heal the root cause of bringing down her stress, increasing her stomach acid production, and supporting her with digestive enzymes, she was able to get rid of her bloating completely. You need to think of your digestive system like an assembly line. If there is one kink in the process, it doesn't matter what you put on that conveyor belt, there's still going to be problems. And this is also why I do not advocate for a supplement first approach. Lifestyle first approach should always take precedent. Myth number 2 is that clean eating automatically equals good gut health or minimizing of digestive issues. And this is a vast oversimplification because what most people don't realize is even the healthiest foods can cause issues if your digestive system is compromised. And a lot of nutrient-dense foods are complex and more difficult to break down, so they require optimal digestive capacity. So if you take something like broccoli, for example, which is a healthy nutrient-dense food, a lot of people have a hard time breaking down, or beans and lentils is another one. Even protein, like protein is the most difficult to break down in our system, right? So it is a heavier food to digest. So if you do not have an optimally functioning digestive system to begin with, even if you transition to eating clean foods, that doesn't automatically mean that your gut health is going to be great. One of my past clients, Amanda, is a perfect example of this. When we started, she was eating a very healthy diet. She was eating a lot of grass-fed meats, organic vegetables, fermented foods, superfoods like chia seeds and flax seeds, all that good stuff. And she just could not understand why she was so bloated all the time because of how healthy her diet was. However, we saw a way better response by simplifying her diet and taking some of the complex, hard to break down healthy foods out of it temporarily while we focused on restoring digestive function with the basics. And she saw significant relief in her symptoms within a couple of weeks, even though on paper her diet was previously healthy, it was just not supporting her body's needs at that time. Myth number 3 is that if you're having digestive issues, to just take a probiotic and it'll all be solved. And we've all seen those ads promoting probiotics. And I have nothing against a good quality probiotic, but One, probiotics are not all created equal. And two, not every single person needs a probiotic. There's so many things to consider when we're talking about probiotics, right? There's so many different strains of bacteria that can be helpful or harmful depending on your unique gut environment. And that's not a band-aid fix to slap on every digestive issue. It can actually make some of them worse. Just like everything else, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to solve digestive problems. And when we're talking about the different strains of probiotics, they all have different purposes and they help with different things. So the strain that's going to help with constipation is going to be different than the strain that helps with diarrhea. Some help with immune function while others actually increase gas and bloating. So you need to be really careful with what you're putting into your body, especially if you're already experiencing digestive discomfort. And I just mentioned how it can actually make symptoms worse. And this can happen just as an example in the case of somebody who has SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And this is somebody who already has an overgrowth of bacteria in their digestive system. So if you don't know that you have SIBO and then you start throwing a probiotic at it and you're feeding your body more bacteria, you're basically feeding the monster that's feeding off of bacteria to get worse and will make those symptoms even more stressful on your body, right? So this is where it's really important to figure out what's going on in your body and actually diagnose what's going on at a root cause level, opposed to looking for band-aid fixes like a probiotic. And myth number 4, probably my favorite, is that stress doesn't affect your gut health. And this couldn't be so far from the truth, because stress is what causes, well, not the only thing, but a huge cause of inflammation in the body, which can have an immediate effect on your digestive health. And so many of us high-performing women, we're working all the time, we're trying to juggle so many things, we're on the go, and that can directly impact our digestion, so that we're having a response to food, but it has nothing to do with the food itself and everything to do with the stress and the inflammation internally in our body. When you're stressed, your body activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight mode. And when you're in a fight or flight mode, your body is not prioritizing digestion at all. It is prioritizing survival. And when we're in this state, your body will literally shut down digestion, or if not shut it down, very much slow it down. And your body just cannot digest food properly in that state. And something that goes hand in hand with this is like when we're stressed out, when we're busy, when we're on the go, naturally our digestive practices also slip in this situation as well. So not only do we have the internal stress and inflammation going on of what's physiologically going on, we also have the added compounding factor of poor digestive practices of being distracted while we're eating, not chewing our food properly. So therefore our saliva and our digestive enzymes don't get a chance to produce in the amount that we need them to. And then it's a trickle down effect. And one of my clients, Rachel, she was eating an impeccable diet and taking digestive supportive supplements. But as a busy executive, constantly jumping from meeting to meeting, answering emails at her desk, right? Trying to work in the car on the way home, she never had a chance to properly allow her digestive system to activate because she was always on the go or her mind was elsewhere while she was trying to eat. So we started implementing a 2-minute pre-meal activation routine that would allow her to activate her parasympathetic nervous system, put her more into a rest and digest mode, and have her start taking breaks, even if it was just 5 to 10 minutes away from her desk, seated, eating her meals, and her digestive system was able to perform so much better without swapping out any of the foods. Your vagus nerve is actually the communication highway between your brain and your gut. So by stimulating that, by getting yourself into your parasympathetic nervous system, pre-food can allow for much better digestion and lower stress levels. And then your body can get into a state where it can actually digest your food properly, and you don't have to feel 6 months pregnant with bloating. So if you're ready to get to the root cause of your bloating and your digestive issues for good, and you're done with the band-aid fixes, click the link in the description and book a game plan call. This is a free strategy call where we can see how we can help you and if we're a good fit to work together and get you a customized roadmap to success. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.